session on Kickstart Android development, which is part of the Android Bootcamp that has been conducted by CodeShip IMK chapter in collaboration with GDSC, ACM, and CSI student chapters of IM Kolkata. My name is Girish Garg, and along with me, I have Dhritesh Bhagat. Dhritesh, are you there?
Hey guys,
And we shall be the hosts for today's session.
Yep.
So on this first day, we have with us Bilal Khan, who would be joining us in some time. He is a developer advocate at Stream. He is also a Google developer expert for Android. And let me tell you something about Google developer expert. Google developer expert means that he is literally one of the best guys for Android in the world. Only 4 or 5 people have this tag in the entire India. So you can just judge by the quality of speakers that we have in this boot camp. Bilal also runs a successful YouTube channel called Simplified Coding, where he posts tutorials about Android development, and it has over 1 lakh subscribers. So if you are into Android and you have ever used YouTube as a source of learning, then you must be knowing Simplified Coding. So he would be joining us in a moment. And let me tell you something more about this Android Bootcamp. Today on day one, we will have Bilal Khan, who would tell you about how you can start with Android development. So completely for beginners, there is no prerequisites for anyone. And you can ask him any questions that you want. That is why we have called him here. And the second segment of this first session, we will have Rudranil Datta, who will give a walkthrough through the Android IDE and will be telling you about the basics of Android development, like just the basics so that you can get started with it. So this is day one. And then on day two, which is on 23rd, we will be building a Sabzi Mandi app. So that Sabzi Mandi app actually solves a very real life problem. Before actually going through what exactly we will be doing on day two, let me tell you a bit about this Sabzi Mandi app. So you must have seen that during the lockdown, many shops had to remain closed, because of which their business went down, the sales were not happening at the usual pace, and they had to dive into their savings, and ultimately they had to suffer a lot. So we are building this Sabzi Mandi app where you can actually have a repository of the items that they have on their store, and the shopkeepers can use this app as a platform to sell their goods. That is what the problem Sabzi Mandi app is solving. So the student chapters at IM always encourage its community members to build products, to work on ideas and implement them so that it helps the larger community of the world. So that is why we are also building this Sabzi Mandi app. On day two, that is on 23rd of November at 7 p.m., we shall be building the part one of the app, where we will be first be covering the basic syntax of the Kotlin language, so that you know what exactly we are doing. You understand each and every line of code that we are writing. So it is not just any other session where you will just be given guidance. Rather, in this bootcamp, you will be given a complete outline of how you can start Android development along with the project to supplement that, so that you can so that at the end of this bootcamp, you can confidently say that yes, you have learned something. So this is about day two, where you will be covering some of the Kotlin basics and covering the UI portion of this Sabzi Mandi app. I will also show you what exactly the final product of the Sabzi Mandi app will be. Then on day 3, that is on 25th of November at 7 p.m., we shall be building the part 2 of this app. So on this particular day, we will be diving a little deeper into the Android concepts like recycler view, MVVM architecture, room database, and some more concepts like SQL and all. And each of this will be covered right from the basics to advanced level. So there is no prerequisites. You do not have to know anything. Just have Android Studio installed in your machine. And by the way, if you do not have Android Studio installed in your machine, you can watch the setup of Android development that we have posted on our YouTube channel. Abhishek, can you post the link of our YouTube channel in the chat? So you will find the link of the YouTube channel in the chat, and you can go there and watch the setup of Android development if you haven't set up Android Studio on your machine. So this was about day 2 and day 3, that is on 23rd and 25th of November. Then on 27th of November, and here is where this entire bootcamp gets interesting. On day 4, we shall be integrating a voice assistant to this SabziMandi app that we have built. So let me again reiterate the problem that we are solving. So you must have seen that with the advent of these new apps like Grofers or Big Basket, these apps have all made our lives very easier in the sense that we do not have to ourselves go to the market and buy products. Instead, we can just use our app and order the products online, right? So this is something which is very useful for us, and people like us who are a bit tech savvy can easily derive the benefit from this. But what about our parents or our grandparents who are not so tech savvy and who feel shy while holding a mobile phone? So like they are a bit hesitant about typing. They do not. It doesn't come to them intuitively that they have to navigate through certain screens. So that is why we are integrating this voice assistant to our SabziMandi app, via which anyone can use voice in order to search for any products. Voice can also be used to navigate through the various screens, and voice can also be used to do order management. So for example, you can use voice to say, show me potatoes, show me tomato, add 2 kilo tomato to my basket, or maybe you can say, add 10 kilo mangoes to my cart. All this you can do. You can also say, go to cart, checkout, or you can also say, show me my last order. So all this we will be building on 27th of November at 5 p.m. So this is very interesting because in all other boot camps and everywhere, you can see projects that are being built, but none of the projects have a voice assistant in their app. So uh, so you can understand that when we add a voice assistant to our project, it completely elevates the project to our next level. So it also, I would say, gives a good impression on your resume or wherever you put in. And yes, one more thing about this voice assistant. The voice assistant that we will be using is currently being used by big brands like Big Basket, Shine, Udan, Redbus, etc., just to name a few. So when you are using this voice assistant and when you attend this session, this entire boot camp, you can be rest assured that the product that you are building, the SabziMandi app that you are building, is top of the line, and it is of production grade quality, because as I said, the voice assistant that we are using is already being used by so many big brands. So and then finally on 20th of November, that is on Sunday, we have Aditya Thakur, who is a Flutter developer, a very popular Flutter developer, and he has been a speaker at various organizations. He also runs a successful YouTube channel where he posts Flutter tutorials, and it will be on Sunday at 7 p.m. He will be just be giving some introduction about how you can start Flutter. And so this is it about the Flutter, about this Android bootcamp that we are organizing.
Just to interrupt, Girish, just one
Yeah,
more
yeah.
thing. I guess there's one thing that you are forgetting, that after all this Android bootcamp is over, we are also providing you an opportunity where you can come up and present your own ideas to us, where whatever any simple problem that you're having, you want to solve, or a practical application that you want to build up. And we will help you build that entire thing up in an open source fashion, kind of like a very miniature version of GSOC, and so that you can get a feel of how open sourcing as well as community apps are built up. Right, Girish? Can you go
Yeah,
forward with that?
absolutely, Ritesh. So, as I said, on 23rd, we have the part one of the Sabzi Mandi app, and on 25th, we have part two. But what's in between? 24th of November. So, on 24th of November, we are organizing a brainstorming session where we encourage all the participants to come to this session and share their ideas with others so that they can work on it. And the idea is that we collaborate on those projects and make it happen.
And it's
Right.
not that it's only your friends who are building the projects together. It might be that one person is sitting at one end of the world and the other one is on another. You guys can just collaborate through us via the meetings. You guys can be in our Discord channel. You can communicate via there, and you guys can make the entire project a success. Right?
Right. So I think Bilal Khan is here with us. Bilal, are you there? Saloni, can you confirm if Bilal is there?
No, Girish, I can't see in the participant list.
Okay.
He's not there.
So let him join. Let's take a little bit to converse with our audience. We need to know about you guys as well. So till what level do you guys have any information or have any knowledge about Android, or if you guys have built any application in your previous classes, anything? You guys can converse freely. Saloni, can we allow them to speak up? Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
please.
the Android Studio download link, we will be sharing it to you. Actually, we can share it directly, the YouTube link, right, Girish?
Yeah, we can share that. Abhishek, can you share that
Yeah,
link?
yeah, yeah.
Or
Give me
anyone?
1 minute. Just give me 1 minute.
Also, uh, until Bilal joins, I will just quickly show you the app that we will be building. So just give me a moment. Right.
Okay. So, you can see a YouTube link in your chat box. You can go there, and in the description, you have everything: the download link, the way you can download, the steps. We have timestamps as well, so you can fast forward to the part that you actually want. So everything is in there. We also have an install guide officially from Android developer community, so you guys can have a look at that as well. Okay.
Right. That is very nice. And Salman, just inform me when Bilal is here. I will.
I can see Bilal
Okay,
is
sure.
in the participants list.
Okay. So Bilal, are you there?
Yeah.
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah. Hi, Bilal. How are you, man?
Yeah, I'm good. Just a bit late. Sorry for that.
No problem, man. You're in Hyderabad right now?
Yeah, actually, I need to leave. Some emergency came out, so
No issues
tomorrow.
about that.
So,
issues,
no
no issues.
problem.
Like, like the session isn't a problem, right? Since you said it's an emergency.
No, yeah, it is, but that's okay. I will leave tonight. So I
Okay,
need to
okay.
come back here again to do the thing that I came to do.
Yeah. So Bilal,
Okay.
you can just start, man.
Yeah, yeah, I'll share
The
my
stage is all
screen.
yours.
Yeah. I am very new with Zoom, so give me a second to see how to share the screen. Okay. Where is the share
Okay,
option?
okay. In the bottommost panel, in the center, you can see a share screen button.
That I can see, but it just shows the desktop option to share. I cannot share the tab, right? I need to share the.
No, tab you can't. You can just share Windows and
Okay, okay.
full desktop.
Yeah.
For tab, you need to join via browser, so that's a Zoom difference.
Yeah. So, okay, I'll share whole desktop. You can share my screen, right?
Yeah, I can see.
How to, okay, escape and present again. So is it visible?
Yes, perfectly visible. Go ahead.
Yes. So again, hi everyone. My name is Bilal Khan and I hope you all know me. So I am a developer advocate at Stream, and today I'll be telling you about like how you can start your journey as an Android developer. So if you are interested in Android development, then this is the presentation for you. So I'll just walk you through how you can start. Okay, but before that, I would like to ask you all a question, and that is why. So before how, we should always ask why. So it doesn't mean that if I am an Android developer, you should be an Android developer as well. So assuming you all are students learning, doing your graduation, you have a lot of options. Okay, I am a mobile application developer, and for mobile, we basically have two options, Android and iOS. I am an Android developer, but you have a bunch of other options as well. Okay, you can go to web development, you can build games, you can do backend development, you can be a DevOps engineer, you can do artificial intelligence, machine learning, IoT, and a lot of other things are there. Okay, so because you all are a student, I want you all to try different things and then finalize what you want to do. So give yourself a little bit of time and try everything that is available and then decide this is what you want to be. Okay. Uh, Everyone is there, right? I am audible.
Yeah, you're audible.
Because internet connection is stable. So please message me if it cuts off. Okay. On WhatsApp.
Sure, man.
Okay. So, okay, moving to the next slide. So let's start with Android development. So what you need to be an Android developer. Okay, so if you are just starting, the first thing you need is the basic understanding of programming. Okay, and you should be good at it. You should understand how a program works. Okay, if you are having difficulties writing basic programs like Fibonacci, reverse of a number, or these kind of things, please don't start development journey. Give yourself some time, learn the fundamentals, make your fundamentals strong, and then start with any kind of development, not only Android development. Okay, and the next thing that you need is a computer, laptop. And because we are going to do Android development, and you might have seen a lot of memes like Android Studio requires a lot of computer resources. So yeah, you need a good hardware. And sorry to tell you, but you need at least this 8 GB RAM with an SSD. And if you cannot afford this thing, then you can go ahead, because I also started with a very basic laptop. But yeah, if you can afford it, if you can afford at least this spec, go and invest your money. This is an investment and you will get good returns, because after that you will be able to write your code easily. You will be able to run or compile Android applications very easily. So it is very important. Or else if you will do with a 4 or 2 gigs of RAM, most of the time you will be frustrated, like it is not compiling, it is lagging, those kind of stuff. But yeah, if you cannot afford this thing, it's perfectly fine, because I also started with a very basic laptop. Okay, so this is about the hardware. Now the important thing is the tool that you should use for building Android applications. And currently the market is filled with tools. Okay, you have a lot and lot of tools for building Android apps in the internet. Okay, so we will divide the tools in two categories. The first one where we build native applications, and the other one is where we build hybrid application. Hybrid means you will create a single code base and you will build multiple applications for individual platforms. For example, Android, iOS, web, desktop is also there nowadays. So sometimes we need to build hybrid applications, sometimes we build native application, and both has their own advantages and disadvantages. I will not get into these, but I will select Android Studio because I am a native Android application developer. And most of the time in the last 6 years of my career, I used Android Studio with Kotlin only to build Android applications. Okay, So we will be assuming that you all will go with Android Studio. Now the next and the most asked question is which programming language you should use. Now here I have explicitly written that don't go with Java. Okay, use Kotlin, and please use Kotlin if you are a Java fanboy. Don't use Java. If your focus is to build Android apps, learn Kotlin. Even if you're not into Android application development, you should learn at least one programming language that is modern, because this thing is usually missing in our college curriculum. Okay, we don't learn a modern programming language. Kotlin is one of that. You can build web applications using Kotlin. You can compile it to JavaScript. Any? Everything's fine.
Yeah, everything is fine, Will.
Okay, I heard something. Okay, so you can build web applications with Kotlin. You can compile it to JavaScript. You can make Android applications. You can make server-side scripting. You can make RESTful APIs. You can make GUI applications. So basically everything you can do with Kotlin. You can even use it for your competitive programming. You can use it to learn data structures, and you can do everything with Kotlin. And it is a modern programming language that you must learn, because it is usually missing from our curriculum. I'm not sure about yours, but usually any modern programming language is missing from our academics curriculum. So that's why please learn Kotlin. And if your focus is Android development, then you must start with Kotlin only. Don't ever go with Java nowadays. Okay, so about programming language, we will go with Kotlin. Now moving ahead, this is another most important question, and everyone asks this: data structures and algorithms. Okay, so you may ask, like, do I need data structures and algorithms? Yes, you must learn it. You cannot avoid the subject. Okay, again, maybe I'm hurting you, but this is true. The first reason is, if you learn data structures and algorithms, it will help you to write efficient code. So your coding practice will improve if you are practicing data structures and algorithms. You will learn things in more deeper way. Okay, and the next and the most important thing of learning data structures and algorithms is, you won't find a job if you don't learn these topics. Okay, so you have to master this subject if you are seeking a job in the tech industry. Because for me, I have almost 6 years of experience building Android applications. So if I go to some company and give interview, they ask me about development, system design, those kind of things. So for me, these topics is not very important, but still it is, because I also learned. I was also students like you. I done my graduation. I learned ES, Algo, competitive programming. Then I started my career as an Android developer. And after 6 years of experience, we don't do competitive things too much. Okay, but yeah, at the starting of your career, you have to learn it, because anywhere you go, they'll ask first competitive programming and DS and algorithms. So this is the first thing they'll ask. Then they'll ask about Android application development. So the first thing that you need to do is you need to create a balance between these two subjects, and you need to learn both. Because if you're learning development, that will also help you. And if you're learning data structure, algorithms, competitive programming, this will also help you. So you need to create a balance and focus on both the things, because you all are students right now. And if you're looking for a job, if you want to secure a good job, yeah, all the companies ask this thing, and you have to learn this topic. So I think I stressed enough on this point. So you may have a clarity now, like why you need to learn this subject. Now, another thing that we all forget is, even at the starting point of my career, I was not aware about this thing. So you have to learn Git. It is very important thing. So if I ask you a question like, how do you store your project, and how do you collaborate if two guys are working with uh, two guys are building the same project? So please comment on chats, I'm reading. Like, how do you save your project? How do you send the project to your friend? Okay, so what do you use? GitHub. That is an awesome answer. But I was expecting like most of you will say like you're using a USB drive or hard drive to save your coding projects. But that's very hard. Even I did it at the starting of my career, but you should not do it. You should use a proper version control. Okay, because if you go to company, everyone uses version control to track the versioning of the project. That is very important. So give yourself some more time and learn about Git as well, because it will help you a lot if you are going to join any organization. Okay, now let's move ahead. Okay, Now, assuming you learned all the things, and I forgot one thing, like if you're starting with Android application development, the first thing that you need to do is you need to learn the basics of Kotlin. Okay. And to learn the basics and fundamentals of Kotlin, I have created a complete playlist that is very concise. Okay. I'm teaching only the parts that are required to build an Android application. So you can find that playlist in my channel. I will leave the link to the end of this presentation. So once you learn Kotlin, once you learn the fundamentals of Android, so just don't go with the syllabus. Okay, you need to build projects. That is very important, because if you are building some projects, you are publishing it to Play Store, then it will give you a very solid motivation. Okay, so there are some examples that you can build. You can make a recipe app, you can make a task reminder, weather forecast, expense tracker, because most of us are nowadays using UPI. So we get an SMS whenever we spend something from our phone. So you can read the SMS and you can create an automatic expense tracker. So these are the application that you can build and you can use yourself, and then you will realize like, this is the thing I built and this is useful, and it will really give you a very solid motivation. Even you can post your application to Play Store, and then you can share it with your friends, and yeah, you will get very motivated if you do these things. And in terms of learning, it is very important that you should build some projects. Okay, so don't just learn the fundamentals and stop. Build applications, because the more you build the applications, the more you learn. So keep building, keep learning new things, because Android is constantly releasing the new things. Even I'm learning Jetpack Compose now. I keep learning a new things. I sometimes I learn game development as well. So you have to keep learning and keep building new projects if you want to be in this tech industry. Okay, now let's move ahead. Now, once you build some basic applications that do not require a lot of backend, what you can do is you can learn some backend work. Okay, and for backend, again, you can use Kotlin to build your RESTful APIs, if you know about this. And you can use Firebase and also learn SQL, because it is very important, because at some point of time in your career, you will need to write SQL queries. Okay, so learn SQL as well. And if I talk about any system, let's say we take the example of Uber. So Uber is complete system, and the Uber Android app is just a part of it. So an Android application cannot function without being inside the system. So that's why nowadays system designing is also a very important topic for interviews. So you have to get a little bit of idea about system designing, because Android is a front end technology. Okay, and most of the times you will be calling APIs, getting response. But still, if you have idea about system designing and a little bit of backend, then it will make your life easier and it will help you a lot in the long run. So once you're done with this Android basics thing, give yourself some time and learn the backend stuff, system design, and you can use Firebase if you want to make things quicker. But not so many companies are using Firebase right now. So you have to learn building our own backend if you want to be inside, building Android applications. Now let's move ahead. And this is the resources that you can use. The first one is a link of my tutorial, a little bit of self promotion. And the next link is an official Android course from Google. So it will teach you the fundamentals about Android application development. And once you complete these two things, you can start exploring more on your own. Because in my channel, I don't publish tutorials like from start to end. I pick random advanced topic, for example, MVPM, core routines, writing test cases. So once you complete Kotlin fundamentals and the basic course of Android application development, you can start exploring things on your own. So start with Kotlin, learn the fundamentals of Android from the official Google's course, and then start exploring, or build as many applications as you can, and you will learn. That's how I learn. That's how anyone can learn. So that's all about this presentation. And one question I'm getting: what is better to use, Firebase or SQL based database? Okay, I personally prefer SQL based database, but for some quick projects I use Firebase because it makes things quicker. But yeah, there are not a lot of flexibility available with Firebase. Sometimes it is very hard to customize, so that's why I prefer to build my own backend. Any more question is there? Anyone want to say anything? I have a list of questions. I'll answer them.
Okay, so Giri, shall we go forward with some of the questions asked by the audience?
Yeah, yeah, of course. I have a list. I'll answer one by
Yeah,
one. Or
Yeah,
you
yeah,
will.
you can
let's
do that.
read up to the audience as well, and then you can answer them as you
Yeah,
feel.
if anyone have any question, they can post on
Okay,
chat.
we have two, three questions in the chat. Do you mind if I like ask you?
Okay, okay. Yeah, yeah, sure. Ask.
Okay, so Jyoti Gupta is asking here, do we require all the languages to learn like C, C++, or Java for Android development, or is there any specific
No, no,
like?
no. Actually, I forgot to tell you that. I told you need basic understanding of programming, and most of us start with C because if we are talking about academic curriculum, it starts with C, then it goes to C++, then we learn Java. This is in our college if you're learning
Mhm,
computer science. But you just need one basic language that you are
mhm,
familiar with, then you can learn Kotlin, or you can also start Kotlin as a first language. But no one learns Kotlin as a first language because in our college or institutes they teach us C. So if you have basic understanding of any language, you can learn Kotlin. That's what I meant to say.
so for beginners, like, would you prefer Kotlin over Java?
Yeah, yeah, of course. You don't need to use Java because whatever you can do with Java, you can do with Kotlin. But whatever you can do with Kotlin, you cannot with Java. And Kotlin is a modern language, and this is missing in our curriculum. And that's why I stress a lot that
Hmm.
you must learn Kotlin. Okay.
Okay, that would be really innovating for the students as well, right?
Yeah, of course. Because even Spring Boot nowadays you can do with Kotlin. You can do all the Java stuffs with Kotlin. So you can
Okay,
use
okay,
because it is a JVM based language. So whatever you can do with Java, you can do it with Kotlin.
okay, good enough. So, shall we go over to the listed questions?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, good enough. Just let me read out a few and then you can answer them. So, the first question is, how should one start learning about Android dev? Like, what comes after what, and what are the things that need to be learned in parallel?
Yeah, that I already told you. Now, first start with Kotlin, but first you should
Mm-hmm,
have the basic understanding of any one programming language because I
mm-hmm,
have seen students starting to Android and they don't know how to run a for loop. So give yourself some time and make your fundamentals strong about object-oriented programming and the fundamentals of the programming language, like how a loop works, how the switch when these kind of things works, and then start the basics of Android. And if you have a fundamental understanding of any one programming language and you understand what is object oriented programming, then you can start learning Kotlin. And here is a resource list. This is my own playlist. You can
mm-hmm.
learn Kotlin from here. And then you can use this official Google's course to start your Android application development journey. And it is from, start to end. So once you finish this course, you can start exploring on your own. That's good enough if
Okay.
you complete this course only.
Okay, that's a
Great,
good one.
great.
There is a question which is quite a dilemma that I have also faced while I developed some of the projects. It is that there can be multiple ways in which a certain feature can be implemented, right? So,
Yeah,
how do I know that whether the code that I have written is the best possible way, or whether it is the like smartest way to solve that thing, or is there something which is beyond that as well?
okay, so very interesting question. The point is nothing is perfect. Okay, this is very true statement. So if you're doing something and it's working, it's fine. You do not need to be pro all the time. Okay, if it's working, it's your application is not lagging. It's perfectly fine. You will keep improving your application by the time you release new versions. Okay, even in the production level applications, I have
Mm-hmm,
worked with so many applications. We write bad code. Okay, sometimes we write bad code. After 2 weeks we realize, oh, this thing can be done in this way. So in the next release we improve that thing. We create a new pull request of that feature, we get it reviewed from our manager, and then we publish the update. So it's perfectly fine. You will improve. You cannot do something perfect at once. Okay, you will improve step by step. That's true. Even if I'm working in companies making production level application, that is true for myself as well.
okay. Well, thank you for that. Girish, can you go forward with the next one?
Yeah, so Bilal, can you just throw some light on what are the current trending frameworks that we should learn in Android development,
Okay,
which
so
would,
I think
with,
there isn't any framework for native Android development. You can use React Native and other stuff. But yeah, for Android, the major thing is architecture. And I won't talk about MVVM because that's very specific. The important thing about building an Android application is separating your data layer. I'm talking about business application because we have some kind of utility application that do not require this thing. Because when we are building an application, for example, take Uber. Okay, so Uber is for Android, Uber is for iOS. Okay, we have two separate applications. And what we want is we want to make all the features consistent across all the platforms. We have basically two. So what we need to do is we need to separate the data layer from the platform dependent layer. Okay, like for Android, we have text views, we have recycler view. These are the things that are related to platform, Android platform. And then the actual data that is coming. For example, if I am building a movie application, I'm getting a list of movies. This is data that I'll get from a backend or by hitting an API. So the important thing about any architecture is how do we separate these two layers, the presentation layer and all other things. And because we are separating these layers, then we can use the same thing for iOS as well. Okay, this will help us to do a consistent thing. So the most famous architecture is MVVM architecture. We also use MVI, MVP. Even Uber released a new architecture way back. If you know about this thing, the Uber Rebs architecture to isolate individual components. So in Android, we have architectures, and these all are just ideas to separate the layers. Okay, so you can use your own.
Just a quick question. I know this entire course is about, and this entire bootcamp is all about Android, but would you say that there is a comparative, there's a closeness between developing for Android as well as iOS?
Yeah, both are mobile technology, but some things are very, very restricted in iOS. Like in terms of customization, we have a lot of options in Android that we don't have with iOS. Like still, I use an iPhone, and still the automatic reading of OTP is not there. Like it comes over, I need to tap, and then OTP is filled in the application. So in iOS, we cannot, like in my last company where we were building a financial application, and the key point of that application was reading all the SMS. That was not possible with iOS because you cannot read SMS in iOS.
Okay.
So Bilal, you mentioned about MVVM. So a beginner who is just starting out with Android development, should he worry about the architecture?
No, not at all. First write some vanilla code. Then once you create something big, you will automatically realize like this is the way I can, make the maintainability of my code easier. Because if you separate the layers, it is very easier to maintain, easier to write new features. And if you write everything once, like clumsy code, you will automatically realize like this is not a good way.
Right.
Okay. Just someone here is asking about your opinions on what will be the tips for Android interviews. Like if you would have to face an Android interview, what would be your particular tips for them?
Okay, so I strongly believe that I do not prepare for an interview because I crack interview based on my experience. So build as many applications as you can, and you will come to the problems that you will solve, and this will give you learnings that you cannot learn anywhere in the internet or from anyone. You cannot learn this thing. So this is kind of self-learning that you can do only by practice. And if you build like 15, 20 applications, you will learn a lot of things. Then cracking interviews will be very easier if they are about Android application development. But for the freshers, you have to learn data structures, competitive programming, these things, because these are the first things that any company asks.
Right. We have a question which says how to not get overwhelmed with the ever-changing trends in Android development. New things are being released one after the other at brisk pace.
Yeah, I like this thing. Like they are bringing new things to help developers, to help users. So they are doing these things for improving the things. So you should like this thing. Like you get to learn new things, you get to learn new solutions. So these are interesting thing, and that's the best thing about being in this tech industry, from my personal opinion.
Right.
Okay. Just a very inquisitive question that I was having since you joined. You said that Android we're using for mobile devices and everything. So, is there a difference when we are designing applications for mobile devices on which we can call, and we're developing it for Android watches or other Android smart devices? So, is there a difference between these applications?
Yeah, of course. Like Wear OS is something different. It's not completely, and that Android that you use in your mobile phones. So it is different. I have not tried Wear OS development, so I think I cannot answer this thing too much, but yeah, there is a difference. You cannot just run any application in your smartwatch.
Okay.
How does declarative UI compares to standard imperative approach in terms of ease of use, understanding, and going to production soon? मतलब एक बच्चा करे तो करे क्या, जेटपैक कंपोज सीखे या XML बाइंडिंग या
No,
दोनों ही छोड़ दे?
yeah. If you're starting, go with XML only because Jetpack Compose is very, very new. Even iOS came up with the Swift UI. So these things are very new and these things cannot be used in production right now. It will take a lot of time to, migrate to these things completely. So go with XML, and for fun, you can learn Jetpack Compose. Because I also started creating the course about Jetpack Compose. It is good, but if you're working in an organization, to adapt a completely new thing, it is very tricky for any organization because a production application is there. The business is dependent on that. So we cannot take decision like this, naya cheez hai, let's change it. So we cannot do like that. Okay, so just start with XML, and for self-learning, you can try Compose as well.
There's another very weird question. Not weird, but someone is asking, how can we do this without code? Like, how can we develop applications without code? Jaise websites ke liye we have WordPress and we have a lot of things now. We have Wix and stuff. So they're asking that किस तरीके से Android के लिए भी वैसे develop कर सकते हैं? Like shortcut क्या है?
This is like how to survive without farmers.
Good one.
So you can use, there are some tools to build Android applications, but you cannot build something new with these things. Okay, you need to do some customization, some new features you cannot do. Like you want to build an e-commerce application, that is very basic thing. You will get to add your products, you will see the products, but suddenly you see, oh, I want to add a membership options here. You will get stuck, like how to add this feature, because I used an automatic software to do this thing. That customization is not available because you use this way. So if you want your application, your product to be fully flexible, you have to build it from scratch.
Okay. So we have one question which says, so Bilal, you said about data searches and algorithms. So can you tell us that if you have any experience in any project where you actually used any certain algorithm or certain data structure?
Not very much, because in Android development, most of the time I hit an API, I get some data, I present this data. And if data is huge, I have libraries like paging and other stuffs. But sometimes we use, but most of the time, the actual logic, for example, you have a problem that you need to solve and get some output of it. This thing will happen in the backend, not in your Android code. Okay, this thing will happen in backend in your server. Things will get processed and you will get the response. So most of the time in Android, you won't need these things, but if you are writing backend on your own, sometimes I do this thing. So I have used a famous dynamic programming problem. I don't remember, but yeah, once I used it. But you don't, when you're building an application, when you're developing some, e-commerce or Android apps that the users use, you don't need these data structures or competitive programming a lot, because all the things are predefined. If you go to a company interview, they might ask you like how to implement a hash map. They will ask you the internals functioning, but when you're writing code, you will just use the map instance. You don't need to worry about what's happening internally. So this is the difference.
Okay.
Okay. There's one more question that the audience is asking. Should we start our career with the multi-platform framework, or should we stick to one platform when we are just a beginner?
For beginner, you should stick to one platform only. But yeah, if you want to give yourself some more kick, you can start with multi-platform as well. That's completely your choice, because at the starting already I told you, give yourself some time, because you all are students. Learn everything, you have time, and then decide.
Okay, thank you, Bilal. Grish, can you please continue?
Yeah, so there's one question which says how to have a good idea in XML tags, like how and when each tag can be used and where.
This you will get by practice only, because if I don't even like dragging and dropping the things. I always write HTML code because it is more handy for me. But as a beginner, you will use that drag and drop feature. Okay, but yeah, you keep writing, you will get used to it. That happens.
What is the difference the industry sees between Android Intern and Android SDE1? And what to prepare to get Android SDE1 in startup like Cred? This question is from the registration form.
Okay, so Cred will ask you competitive programming. This is a guaranteed thing. So if you want to go into Cred, make your competitive CP strong, and then they might ask about Android. And if you're going to SDE2 or SDE3 for Android, they will ask you about Android, and you need to be very good at system designing skills.
Okay. So what is the difference between the personal projects that we do and the production level coding in Android?
Not much difference, pretty much the same. In production applications, basically an architecture is involved, common architecture. Naming conventions are involved, because if you will submit a PR, we call it pull request, you submit a PR to your manager, he will review your code. And if you are writing some wrong names, because you can name your variable anything, but there is a standard defined for that project, so you have to use that. So if you name your variables incorrectly, for these things you will get comments like change this thing. So a heavy what we say review is involved in production level application. That's the only difference, and that is the reason the code is very much structured, because anything without review cannot go into production. But if your personal app is there, you can publish anything. That's up to you.
Great. One final question before we wrap up is that people were asking me a lot about what is Google Developer Expert? Like, what is this thing actually?
Okay, so it is just a designation. Nothing. Google does not pay me anything. I'm not an employee of Google. Many people ask me how to get into Google. I'm not into Google. I got an interview call, but I didn't went through. So this is a designation that is given to experts of the field, because I have a YouTube channel. I have more than 1 lakh subscribers. I have written a lot of blog posts. I have contributed to GitHub. I keep speaking on the event. So that is why Google guys contacted me. Nowadays, right now, I am a developer advocate at Stream. So these kind of profile that big companies are creating to create awareness in the developer community. For example, I am a developer advocate at Stream. What I need to do is I need to tell you guys who are into tech about our SDK. So that's the role basically I am in. So Google has also this thing, Google Developer Relations Engineer. So what they do is they hire these experts, not hire, they give this designation to guys like us to promote Google basically. So what I do is I promote Google and speeches and my blog posts by making videos. So what I'm doing, I am marketing Google tech products. I'm marketing Android development. I'm marketing Google Cloud. So this is what Google expects from us. And in return, they give us some goodies like mic, ring light, camera, these kind of things. Sometimes they send as a gift. They don't pay me anything.
Mhm. Okay. So thanks a lot, Bilal, for your time. And I guess that was the question list that we were having.
Yeah.
Sorry. Any other questions that the audience has? Just we'll wait for 1 more minute, and Bilal, you can just talk to the audience here, and then we'll wrap it up. And we'll not take much of your time because you said that you were busy today. So okay.
Yeah, I have time, no problem. I need to travel at night, so that's perfectly fine.
Okay. No, still, you gave us time that was like really great of you.
Yeah.
So I guess that's it, Girish. So you can
Yeah.
continue.
Yeah. So, if anyone has any questions, okay. So I do not see any questions in the chat. Okay, so thank you.
We have Bilal's YouTube link directly in the chat box. You guys can check that out. And as you mentioned, Bilal, we will be really happy to check out your courses so that we can get inspired by that as well.
Yeah.
Okay, so
guys, I might see 100 more subscribers.
Well, that would definitely be there.
Yeah.
So thanks a lot, Bilal. Thanks a lot for giving your time.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. Bye.
Yep. Bye bye. Take care, Bilal.
Yeah, so now we come to the second segment of this session, of this day one session.
Mhm.
Uh, as I was saying that we will be building this SabziMandi app, let me just show you the final product. Just give me a moment. I will get
Okay,
it on.
by the time you are switching on your Android Studio, because it does take some time. So let's talk with the audience here. Saroni, can we allow all the audience to speak up?
I think
Hello?
my screen is visible.
Yes, it's done.
Yeah. But wait a minute, Girish. Let's talk to the audience a little bit,
Yeah,
because we
definitely.
want them to like interact with us as well, because all they have been doing till now is like they have heard from Bilal, they've heard from us. We want to hear from them
Yeah,
as well, right?
yeah, definitely.
Okay, so okay, guys. So any experience that you guys have, or anything that you guys have to ask, anything, not just Android, anything that you guys want, we can discuss it right here. We'll give 2-3 minutes here for audience discussion, right, Girish?
Yeah,
Okay, we
yeah.
have Nikhilesh Yadav here. Nikhilesh, go ahead. You can speak up, Nikhilesh. It's perfectly fine. I guess you're not audible. We can go to the next. Rehan Khan. Okay, continue.
Hello, good
Yeah,
evening,
you're
everyone.
audible. Yeah.
I'm currently in my first year right now, and
Mhm.
I am very passionate about these technologies and everything. I explored web development before Android development. It was quite fascinating, but I
Mhm.
think web development is not my cup of tea. So right now I'm exploring different domains. Like I'm doing Android development right now. I'm doing some courses as well. So what my question is competitive programming really necessary for cracking interviews and all? Like, is it something with an asterisk mark on it? Like, if you don't have any competitive programming knowledge, if you're not on hacker rank or lead code or something like that, you're not acceptable in this society. Like, is there something like that? What I'm trying to ask.
Well, as for me, I would say society will not reject you because it has not rejected me up until now. So you can ignore competitive coding to a certain extent, but at the very end, you should be able to know how to code. You should be able to
No,
understand how
about coding.
DSP
That's
is.
what because I've been on LinkedIn. I've read some post where the people say that competitive programming is for them who don't have any idea on programming and who are beginners. But I have
Oh,
a
no,
coding
that
background, and I
well,
already have a very firm knowledge and grip on coding. So that's what I was. That's why I didn't, get inclined towards competitive programming too much, and I'm trying to explore different domains like artificial intelligence, machine learning, Android development, and all. But if
yeah.
competitive programming is really that necessary, then I'll have to make an account on, CodeChef or maybe.
It
But
depends upon the company that you are applying to, because different companies require, like, they have different kind of requirements. Like as Bilal said, we have Cred, who is looking for CP, right? If you
yeah,
go for some companies like Oracle, they are mostly into asking about databases and how they function and stuff. They are not into CP that much. But if you go into some if you go into Google only, they are into asking algorithms and all the competitive programming questions. That too you have to write on Google Docs. So you won't be getting an IDE, you won't be getting a normal text editor, or just a big old Google Doc sheet where you have to code. So that depends on company to company. Okay.
yeah.
So you have to prepare likewise about you have to read about the company, and then you have to prepare that you want to, approach.
Okay, okay. Thank you so
Okay.
much. It was lovely talking to you guys.
Yeah, sure. We have Varun as well.
Uh, Hi, I'm audible. Am I audible?
Yeah, you're audible. Go ahead.
So, hi. So, my question was that I am a full stack web developer and I want to switch to Android, but my data structure is also not so good. So, how should I practice all three things so that I can keep the balance? Because I don't get enough time for practice all the three things. Is there any
Okay.
solution?
So
Suggestion you can
time
give?
management, I guess time management, Girish. What do you say on this?
I think that is the crux of the problem. You should be able to manage time, and the people who can manage time are successful. So that is like up to you. Everyone has 24 hours, so So you have to manage them. There is no other solution.
So should I leave the job and properly focus on Android?
Okay.
Is that are you saying?
No, I'm not saying you will quit your job. We are not saying you will quit your job. We would definitely not do that.
Okay,
What
okay.
we are saying is, when you come back from home from your job, you definitely have some time, right?
Right.
And while you are binge watching something, or while you're actually having some some spare time, so during that time you can actually learn through various fun coding like sessions, because I generally had these fun coding sessions and stuff, and then we had, so you have to manage your time likewise, like, right?
Right, right.
Okay,
Okay, thank you.
so I guess we don't have more people here.
So we can take these questions at the end of the session.
Yeah, definitely
Yeah,
we
yeah,
can
yeah.
take.
Yeah, so I will just share my screen and show you the app, the final product that we will be building.
Mhm.
So just let me know if my screen is visible. Is my
Yeah, your
screen
screen is
visible?
perfectly visible, Krish. Fine.
Yeah. So as you can see, this is the Sabzi app, and here we have all those items, the retail items that a shopkeeper can have. And here we have a search bar where one can just write whatever product he wants to search. For example, if he wants to search for potato, he can search, and we have see potato here. And so this is just the search part that we will be implementing in these 2 days. And we expect that you, with the knowledge that you have gained from this bootcamp, you extend it further to other features like order management, or let's say add to cart, and those kind of experiences. And we also have this voice assistant trigger that we have. So let me click on it and see what it says.
Please select the language you would like to speak in. Welcome back. What product are you looking for?
Do you have potato?
Showing potato.
Awesome.
Next item.
Show me mango.
Looking up mango.
Right. So this is the voice assistant that we have, and this is a very good voice assistant. Using this, you can do voice search, you can do add to cart, you can navigate through pages, you can do order management. So all these things you can do. And we shall be integrating this voice assistant into our app on day 4 of the event. Day 2 and day 3 goes on to building this project. And day 4 is voice assistant. Day 5 is introduction to Flutter. So this was the app. And
Just a question, I guess people are confused here whether we will be developing on Kotlin or Java. If
so
you
this
can
is
specify
so
that.
this will be on Kotlin, because as Bilal said, Java chhod do. If you are learning Android, do Kotlin, because Kotlin has also been accepted as the official language of Android, and it is here to stay. So with this, I would now like to ask Rudrani to carry on with the session in order to show you some Android basics. So Rudrani, are you there?
Hello,
Yeah,
am I audible?
yeah, you're
Yeah,
audible.
you're audible.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. Today, I'll be showing you the basics of Android Studio IDE. So let me just present my screen here. Can you see my screen?
Yeah, your
Yeah,
screen is
it's
perfectly
visible.
visible.
Yeah. So basically, whenever you open up the Android Studio, the first thing you will do is creating a new project. Okay. So over here, under the file section, there is new. Okay. And over here, you will go to new project, and there are many templates, basic templates which you can build. Okay. So let us see what are the templates. This is a basic activity with a plus button. Then there is a navigation settings like the Amazon app. Okay, it has the navigation panel at the bottom too, right? There are different kinds of settings here, like the map activities and the login activities. Okay, but let us start with the empty activity. Okay, first thing what we'll do is the name of the app. So the name of the app will be the package name also. It always starts with com.example. Okay, so over here let me name this app as demo. Okay, and now I'll be selecting the saving location. Okay, so let me just create a new folder for it. Okay, and the language, there are two options now. There is Java and there is Kotlin. So we'll be proceeding with Kotlin for the project. And there are many SDK versions. SDK is basically the software development kit, which is used for Android development, the base Android OS. So there are many versions of it, as you know. The 5.5 version, which has Lollipop, the 6 version, which has Marshmallow, the 7 is Nougat, the 8 is Oreo, the 9 is Pi, 10 is Q, and R and S, as follows. Okay. So we'll go with the base one, which is by default Lollipop, and we'll just create this project.
So, Rudranil, until this project is building, I would just like to announce that at the end of Rudranil's session, we will also have a quiz where you can participate, and the winner will get an exciting prize from our sponsors hyphen.com. Right, continue.
Okay,
Rudranil,
so
yeah.
yes, so this building of the project will take some time. Till then, I'm showing you the other parts of the ID. Okay. First of all, there is a to-do list where you can add the further, for example, you're planning to write a code for tomorrow. Okay. So you can add it over here. Okay. The to-do list in the bottom panel. Then comes the problems. In the code, when you're writing the code, if there is some syntax error or a warning, it will be showed here. Okay, in this problems panel. Then comes Git. Git is the version control which we'll use for handling the versions of our project. For example, there are many people trying to collaborate together uh, in a single project. So what we'll do is we'll use the Git, and through that there can be many versions of the same, but everything will be aligned in a like directory, in a flow. Okay, then comes the terminal. This terminal is basically the command prompt which you use in Windows. Okay, and for Mac and Linux it is the terminal itself. So over here you can always change your directory through cd command, and list the things with the dir command. See, I just did the dir command, and these are the newly created files inside the directory, and which is the files of this project. Okay, then comes the build. Okay, when we are building the project, uh, this is the log. Like after build is successful, you will see build successful in and the time over here. Okay, then comes the log. Over here, anything you do while you're running the app on an emulator or your phone. Okay, over here the logs will be showed over here, and then comes the profiler. Profiler is basically the amount of RAM which has been used up by your application on your emulator or on your phone. It can be measured from here, the amount of RAM, the CPU usage, and anything like that. So we can add this from here, and over here you'll have to add the emulator or your own physical device. Okay, then on the left hand side you can see project. Okay, so let me minimize this one. Yeah, over here we can see the different files in our Android project. So first there is the app file, app folder, which includes the manifests. Okay, uh, so the manifests are basically describes the essential information that we're about to add in the Android build. Okay, it basically has the app application names and the permissions which we are using in the app. For example, the camera or the internet. Okay, then there is the Java folder. Over here we'll be adding our main activity. Main activity is the activity which starts while you switch on the application. This is the first activity which always loads while you switch on the application. Okay,
So Rudru,
so
can we say that activity is like a screen?
yes, the you can say that the activity is like a screen, but it is basically the backend type. So you will be, this is the brain of the application. So this will connect each and every screen of your application. Then these two are the self-generated uh, folders for the project. Then comes the rest folder or the resource folder. Okay, under this there comes drawable. So drawable, the things in the drawable are the pictures which we want to store or the backgrounds which we want to store. We can also add the XML files. For example, for a background we are trying to use a gradient. Okay, so we can actually like add a XML, create an XML file which will only show the gradient, and we'll like use it as the background of the app. Then comes the layout. Under layout there is main activity.xml. Let me just hope you can see the screen now. So this is the basic default show which comes with the ready-made default app which when you create a new app. Okay, so over here the hello world will be printed. This is the basic view, and this on the right hand side, this is the blueprint of whatever there is on the left hand side. You can add a switch or any of this button, text view, image view, recycler view from this palette, or you can actually add it through the code. The code section is on this right hand side top, if you can see the mouse over here. Okay, then comes the design section which was already shown here. And then if you want to see the design section and also the code, you can do split. So in the split section, let me just minimize this project section over here. Yeah, in the split section you can see, you are able to see the code, you are able to see the palette, and you are able to see the design also here. Okay, for example, let me add another text view over here. So text view is basically adding a new text. Okay, and I'll just do wrap content and wrap content. Wrap content is basically whatever content you are writing, the box or the uh, size of the, you can see this box over here. So this is the extent where the widget is placed. Okay. And now we'll add the text. Wait a second.
I think Rudra, yes, you have to close the tag.
Yeah, I actually I didn't close this. Yeah, now it's okay. And over here I can write Sabzi. Okay, you can see it on the top of the screen over here, right? Because it's showing on the top of the screen, because by default the these lines I have not written on this one. So basically it is the constraint layout. Constraint layout is basically, it is set to the top left and the top upper corner. So uh, I'll come to this later, but before that I was just showing you what is in the layout file. Now comes the MIP map. MIP map is basically the icon where the icons are stored. Okay, icons of the application. Whenever you try to download an application through Google Play Store, you see the Android application icon, right? So this is the application icon and it is stored in the MIP map. Okay. Then comes the values. Values, whatever colors that you'll use inside this project will be defined inside this colors.xml file. Inside this file, there will be a resource tag, and under that, your color will be described as follows. For example, you are writing a color, a new color, for example, white or yellow, and then followed by the hexadecimal code, and then you will close the color tag. Okay. Then comes the strings.xml. Strings.xml is basically whatever fixed string you are using inside the app will be stored here, so that you can access your string through this name. For example, app name is written here, and you can actually use the this app name, which is demo over here. You can use this app name. For example, you are trying to write in the toolbar of your app. Okay, so you can just write the app name over there. Then comes the themes. Under the themes, you can use, like, there is a night theme and there is a normal theme, which you normally find nowadays in most of the applications. So whatever color code which you are using in a theme, you will have to write it over here. Then comes this application folder part is over, and then comes the Gradle scripts, one of the most important things on the Android project. So basically the Gradle scripts uh, is an automation tool for multi-language software development. It controls the development process in the task of compilation and packaging to testing, development, and publishing. So basically, this consists of the uh, JDK details, which is the Java development kit, and the SDK details, and the versions of the dependencies which we are using. For example, if you want to integrate an API, so the API will have a certain version. So everything over here, for example, over here, there's a written version name 1.0, and we can implement all these calls for the APIs and the layouts through this build Gradle. And then comes the settings, then comes the Gradle wrapper properties, which is basically the distribution base Gradle user home. Like, this is the default, and this is the basic path of your Gradle, where your Gradle is stored. uh, and then this is the local properties. Local properties basically where your SDK is located. Okay, where your Android SDK is located. So this is all in the Gradle scripts. Okay. Now, if I come back to just a second. Yeah. There is another thing called as Android Device Manager. Okay. So let me just, yeah, AVD, Android Device Manager. So you can create an emulator through this. So for example, let me create a virtual device for you. So over here, for example, let me create a virtual Pixel 4. Okay. And this will have certain specs. And then what I'll do is clone device. This will ask me for the name. Like you can edit the new new emulated like virtual devices name over here. For example, if I write Rudy, it will create the phone name as my name. Okay. And then I'll click finish. And then I click next. And then, yeah, over here you can see there are many system images. For the time being, I have downloaded the R. Okay. R is the I guess Android 9, right? So Android 11. So I have downloaded this one, and I'll put this one as the local image. For example, while you are booting your Windows, you are adding the Windows through an USB, right? If you are using a pirated Windows. So same, we are doing the same for this Android too. So we are adding this R, which is the Android 11, and then we are doing next, and this will be the same. Like there is an option for using the startup orientation as portrait mode or a landscape mode. So just go with the portrait mode, go with the default settings, and then click on finish. Okay. I had already created a virtual device earlier, so I'll just play that. Over here you can see starting AVD on the below. So it is starting. uh, just a second. uh, can you see the Android emulator now?
Yeah, we can see it.
Yeah. So we just created a new phone. Like you can, this is a virtual device which will use your computer's hardware. For example, it will use the computer's RAM to run the Android applications. Okay. So you can it has the basic Google Play Store apps with such as Chrome, Google Maps, Photos, Google Play Store, YouTube, and all these. So you can uh, install apps through your Android emulator from here. Okay. So let me close this one. By closing, it will show saving the state so that the next, just a second. Yeah. So while closing your app, the emulator will show saving state. Okay. So whenever you reload the app, like emulator once again, it will do the hot reload, or it will start faster than the time it took the previous time. Okay. But once you restart your device, your laptop or your desktop, it will take the same amount of time because the it is all stored in the cache memory. Then on the right hand bottom side, there is the event log. Okay. It will just give you pop-ups. For example, if there is a new update, or your Gradle sync is finished. So these will be popped up over here. Like whatever event which you are facing, it will be popped up over here. So you might be wondering what is a Gradle sync. So basically, whatever changes you do in your code, after that you have to do a Gradle sync before you run your application in the emulator. This is because the Gradle has all the dependencies and it will recheck your code after you run, like after you have changed the code. Okay, so for that you have to sync your code with the Gradle so that it checks all the dependencies if you have added something new or you have removed something. Okay, and then over here you can see over this is the make project tool. So when you click this, it will build your project for you. Over here you can choose your emulator. For example, I just created the emulator with my name Rudy, right? And you can play the emulator through here, like run app. For example, if I click over here and run this, it will open up the emulator again. Okay. So after like while you are writing the code for the app and you want the changes to be written, like shown on the emulator there itself, there is a feature for the Android Studio for hot reload. Okay, so it will reload as soon as you change the code over there. Then comes the Git part. So over here, there is a update project. So if you have the project written in the like your organization has already made up the project for you and you have to collaborate or add something in the code. So before you change anything, you will have to first update your project so that if any other employee has already done some changing and your branch has a few is your branch is few merges behind, then you will first have to update your project. So what this will do is this will put your branch at par with the latest branch. Okay, then what we'll do is commit your own changes which you have done for the company or your organization. Okay, so after committing the changes, obviously we will push the changes into the uh, git github, right? And there is a feature for rollback which is fairly used for the version control. So you can roll back to any of the versions, prior versions, which you have already built. So GitHub is very famously known for that. Then comes this run anything. So you can write Gradle sync over here or any like, for example, navigate. Okay, just a second. Uh, okay, let me write strings.xml. Okay. So this basically opens up with this run anything. You can run like exactly anything on the uh, Android Studio IDE. Okay. After this, there comes the sync with Gradle files. So there are many ways to sync with Gradle. One is from here, sync project with Gradle files, and the other is under the files over here, sync project with Gradle files. You can do it from here too. Like after you have done the change of the code, you can write it. Like you can click over here or here to sync your files with the Gradle files. And then comes the AVD manager. I have shown you from this AVD manager, and you can also click here too. Then comes the SDK manager. SDK manager is basically what version of the Android you want to use for your emulator. So this is basically the overview of the Android ID and the Studio ID. Uh, so any of you have any questions?
If anyone has any questions, they can write it in the chat. Mm, I don't see any doubts, so I guess there are no doubts here. So Rudran, that was very well presented, and I think everyone got well versed with the Android Studio basics. Uh, Rudro, can you please explain uh, the Gradle scripts part?
Yeah, sure. The Gradle scripts, basically the build Gradle files have the basic dependencies which we are going to use in the file listed over there, so that whenever you, like, for example, you want to use a new dependency. For example, let me show you on our, just a second, just a second. Let me just open up a file for you. Open recent project e-commerce, this one. I'll
Rudro,
share
we
my
cannot,
screen.
yeah, we cannot see your screen.
Yeah, I'm sharing
Yeah,
my screen.
yeah, now you can see it.
Yeah, so just let it index the files once, and then I'll explain to you. Okay, so over you can you see, like, all these are the implementations. Okay, so this is basically the life, you can implement the voice, for example, the voice assistant. You can implement the API through here. Okay, for example, you want to add Google Maps to your application. So what you have to do is you have to search on the internet how to connect the Android Google Maps API to your Android application, and you will have to just add the implementation line to here. Okay, and the thing I was saying about manifests, let me just show you once. Yeah, the permissions, for example, if your app needs internet, so you will have to mention it like this. If your app needs camera access, you will have to mention it in another way, where the Android name user permission will be like the path will be set to the camera access. Okay, so is your doubt clear?
I guess, yes. Thank you, Akash. So yes, that was it. The second part, the second segment of this session that was covering Android Studio basics. Now we have the quiz, the very important quiz. So Abhishek, can you please share the link of the quiz in the chat? Yeah, so you can go to this quiz and enter your name, and you can participate in this quiz. So is my screen visible?
Yes, Girish, it is.
Yeah. So you can go to this link and you can enter your name and participate. So I see a lot of people have already joined. So keep joining people. I will wait for just give me a minute. Is my voice clear now, Rudro?
Yes, yes, your voice is clear.
Yeah. So we will just wait for 30 seconds more and then we will start with the quiz. And remember, the people who answer the fastest and who have the highest score will be at the top of the leaderboard. And there will be only one winner, and that winner will get a prize from our sponsor, that is hyphen.com. So I will start in 10 seconds. Keep joining people. I will start in 10 seconds. Okay. So this is the first question. What was the which was the first phone that used Android operating system? Is it HTC Hero? Is it Google G Phone? Is it T-Mobile G1? Or is it Samsung Galaxy S1? Which was the first phone that you could use that had Android operating system in it? This is the question, and you can answer it from your phone now. The people who answer it the fastest and have the correct answer will get the highest points. So I will wait for 30 seconds more and then I will go to the next question. Which was the first phone that used Android operating system? Is it HTC Hero, Google G Phone, T-Mobile G1, or Samsung Galaxy S1? So just 5 seconds more, I will wait. So this is the next question. What is the full form of APK? So you must have shared the APKs via WhatsApp with your friends. And have you ever wondered what is the full form of APK? So here we have the question and the options are, is it application package kit? Is it Android package kit, Android parcel kit, or none of the above? What is the full form of APK? I will wait for 20 seconds until everyone gets a fair chance to answer. And we have a prize for the winner sponsored by hyphen.com. What is the full form of APK? Is it an application package kit, Android package kit, Android parcel kit, or none of the above? Okay, so let's move on. We have the third question. What is the latest Android OS version? So is it 10, 11, 12, or 13? What is the latest Android operating system version? What is the latest version of Android that was released recently? I think it was released a couple of months back. Rudra, did you get a chance to watch that YouTube live stream where they
Yes,
released
yes.
the?
I just
Yeah,
watched the, yeah.
yeah,
It
man,
was,
it
I guess,
was.
2 months ago.
Oh, okay. Yeah, man, it was so cool. They
Yes.
released so many features. So what is the latest Android operating system version? Is it 10, 11, 12, or 13? Wait for 5 more seconds and then go to the next question. 3, 2, 1, and next question. After installation on a device, each Android application lives in, is it external memory, device memory, security sandbox, or none of the above? So it was security sandbox. So we have the final question and you have to answer it very fast because we have limited time. So much like the fastest finger first from KBC. API stands for what? API. You have 15 seconds to answer. Android page interface, application programming interface, algorithmic protocol interface, or accelerated programming interface. 3, 2, 1, gone. So let us wait for the leaderboard. Okay, so I guess we have a winner. We have Jyoti. So Jyoti, are you here in the meet? Are you here in Zoom? Jyoti, if you are here, you can just unmute yourself. And Abhishek, just paste the link of our email. Just paste the email ID of our chapter. And I request Jyoti to please email her details in that email, our email, so that she can claim her gift. The gift is sponsored by hyphen.com. And congratulations, Jyoti. So this was it. This was the quiz. And do people do share your feedback in the feedback form? Abhishek, can you please share the feedback form? Yeah, so this is the feedback form that we have, and please fill this form up so that you can get the certificates for this session. And people who are from IEM, you require this, you can use the certificate in order to get those MAR points. Do fill this feedback form to get the certificates, and let us know your feedback. With this, we officially conclude the session, and we will also stop the recording here.